Transfer Celtic made this year. How the fish out of water Aussie Ange Postecoglou turned Celtic from basket case into believers. And later in the video, the Celtic manager has revealed what he said to Anthony Ralston to inspire the defender's impressive season. When Australian mastermind Ange Postecoglou took over at Scottish heavyweight Celtic in June, he inherited not only the biggest coaching role in men's European football ever overseen by an Australian, but a giant in disarray. After a rocky start, he has turned the doubters into believers and earned a chance to claim the first piece of silverware on offer in Scotland this season. And he has done it by sticking to his guns, winning over fans and the media with a no-nonsense approach. Most importantly, his winning matches, and never shying away from his trademark Ange ball, so dazzling in its attacking intensity, yet so prone to defensive frailty. The club had won 9 straight league titles only to crumble at the 10th attempt, a severe lack of long-term planning leaving a squad in shambles. A great gamble had been made to keep players around for one more season when many were far from motivated to perform, and it backfired spectacularly. The board was in no better shape. They had spent months treading water, in the hopes that manager Neil Lennon could turn around an increasingly dire season. He resigned in February as bitter rivals Rangers, led by Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard, stormed to the title by a full 25 points. Even then, Celtic spent months toing and froing in a clumsy attempt to convince Eddie Howe to sign on the dotted line and take charge of the rebuild. When Postecoglou eventually did sign on 4 months later, it was clear he wasn't the board's first choice, nor that of the fans. Postecoglou's champion status in Australia and Japan, as well as his impressive Socceroos record on the international stage, meant little to the Parkhead faithful. Such is the jaundiced manner European clubs look down their nose on Asian football. The cards were stacked against Postecoglou from the start. There was a squad in dire need of a rebuild, sorely lacking in confidence, after not winning a league game away from home since February. A parochial and extremely vocal fanbase that had little respect for him, especially since the big-name Howe had been splashed over the front pages of newspapers for months. And Postecoglou had precious little time. He was installed more than a month after the previous season had concluded and took charge of his first training session on June 24, less than 2 weeks before their first pre-season game and less than a month before their first competitive clash. Postecoglou quickly set to work. 12 first-team players left that transfer window while 10 arrived. That is a simply staggering number, a proper knockdown rebuild rather than a revamp. Still, the squad is relatively lacking in depth, and a horrid series of injuries to key players delivered a cruel blow to his early efforts. Postecoglou's Ange ball stratagem, though successful in prior clubs in Australia and Japan, is extremely demanding of his players, both physically and mentally, and was always going to take time to implement, especially with so many new players. While it can be devastatingly brilliant when the free-flowing attacking moves are executed to the level of minute precision Postecoglou teaches, it is liable to fall apart defensively under pressure. That is particularly due to the constant overlapping runs of Celtic fullbacks to overload the midfield, something which leaves central defenders regularly exposed when the ball is lost. The early season results were unsurprisingly mixed. The team delivered stunning offensive displays, like smashing 6 goals past Dundee and then St Mirren in back-to-back home league games. But the defensive weaknesses saw Postecoglou become the first manager in club history to lose his first 3 away matches. He failed to reach the Champions League proper, knocked out of the qualifiers by Sekiro or Mabel's Midtjylland. Even when Celtic made it into the second-tier Europa League competition, they lost their first 2 games, the second a humiliating 4-0 thrashing by German side Bayer Leverkusen. Meanwhile, Steven Gerrard's Rangers blasted out of the blocks in the league, losing just once in their first 13 games, and beating Celtic in the first Old Firm derby of the season. The rumblings over Postecoglou's tactics, which were openly panned in the media and by Celtic fans in their Glasgow pubs before the Australian had even arrived at the club, grew louder and louder. Many called for a pragmatic approach to curb the defensive sloppiness. Postecoglou's response was typically no nonsense. If you are a strict vegetarian, you don't drop into Macca's just because you are hungry, mate. It's the kind of zinger that sums up Postecoglou perfectly. An unwavering belief that his tactics can succeed anywhere from the cauldron of a Brisbane summer to the technical wizardry of Japan, and to the brutal cut and thrust of Scottish football. And a complete lack of the typical fluff, half-truthful riddles, and public relations scripts so often doled out by managers at the highest level in Europe. Postecoglou has never talked in that frustrating fashion. He is as open, as blunt as his tactics are dazzling. And it has earned him victory, for now at least, in what was perhaps the greatest battle he faced at Celtic, winning over the fans and the media. Dressing room unity has seen players fully get behind Postecoglou's all-out attacking style. Portuguese signing Jota this month shut down a question of changing their playing style after a disappointing draw, saying, "We don't want to win playing bad football because those are not our principles." Jota is one of many new arrivals that have flourished. Kyogo Furuhashi tops the league scoring charts despite missing games through injury and could well become the player of the season across Scotland this campaign. Just as important is the way Postecoglou has revitalised players he inherited from Lennon's time. Australian Tom Rogic had been set for a permanent move away from Glasgow a year ago, only to become an influential figure in the starting 11 this season before a recent injury. The Celtic manager went on to say, "When Tommy enjoys his football, that's when the best comes out of him. I've sensed that since I've come here he's really enjoying his football now. He's only 28. He's got plenty of years ahead of him. In fact, his best years could be ahead of him if he keeps going the way he's going." Others like fullback Tony Ralston, who was hardly used last season, have developed into surprise top-tier performers. Last year, the Scottish fullback didn't seem to hold much importance, let alone a future, with the boys. Indeed, he played just once across the entire previous league campaign. However, under his new manager, he has become a first-team regular, featuring in all but 2 matches across all competitions, as well as getting a first-ever international call-up. Postecoglou has explained that he simply opened the door for Ralston and the rest was all on the young defender, saying, "I said that to him, I just opened the door, mate, you have to walk through and then you have to do it. It's easy for me to say that, oh, you know, I've changed Tony, and he's become this player because of me. But I just gave him that opportunity and the framework and gave him some information which he took on board, but the rest is him. I think he just made up his mind that, you know, once I walk through that door, I'm shutting it behind me and I'm not going back." And credit to him, he's done really well. I'm sure there's more to come. We hope so, and we also hope more to come from the Celtic manager. Have a great day, Celtic fans.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the